Acts of the Apostles, page 12, paragraph 191, it says, the church is called appointed agent. It was organized for service, and its mission is to carry the gospel to the world. Since the beginning of the world, it has been God's plan. It's 5 minutes to 12. I will end by 10 past 12. Amen?
Amen.
I won't waste much of your time. We are going to learn from John chapter 5. It's a chapter that a lot of us will know. And it's a very challenging to share something that almost everyone knows. You end up not having anything to say. Amen? Amen. So it says here, John chapter 5. After this, there was a feast of the Jews, and Jesus went up to Jerusalem. Now there is in Jerusalem by the sheep gate a pool, which is called in Hebrew Bethesda, having 5 porches. In this lay a great multitude of sick people, blind, lame, paralyzed, waiting for the moving of the waters. For an angel went down in a certain time into the pool and stirred up the water. Then whoever stepped in faith after the stirring of the water was made well of whatever disease he had. I will continue from there. So here we are having a story that is being narrated by John. John is saying that there was a feast of the Jews. In other words, John is saying there was a camp meeting. Amen? So as the Jews were having their camp meeting somewhere in Jerusalem, at the very same time, in Jerusalem, close to the camp meeting, there was by the sheep gate also a pool where people used to get healing. Amen? Amen. So in today's words, we can say that there was a camp meeting where the Jews were having their camp meeting, but closer to them also there was something like a sort of a hospital where people were getting healed. Amen? So as it was like that, they say that there was an angel that used to come down and stir the water. When the angel stirred the water, the first one to enter inside the water would be made whole. Amen? So now on verse 5, it says, now a certain man was there who had an infirmity 38 years. When Jesus saw him laying there and knew that he already had been in that condition a long time, he said to him, do you want to be made well? Now the thing that surprises me is that Jesus is the owner, he is the author of faith, amen? But Jesus, instead of him going to the camp meeting, he is going to the hospital. I can imagine the ushers were there at the camp meeting, amen? They were waiting for people who were coming, and as they saw Jesus, they said, one of the pastors is coming. And as he was coming, they said, now and he's passing through, he's going to the hospital. Jesus is trying to say, the real prayer is not what you do in church. It's what you do outside the church. It's what you do for the people outside, Brother Ryan. Coming to church is fine, but what did you do outside? We are tired of Christians who come to church and say, hey, these days I'm praying. If I kneel down, I can pray for a whole 2 hours. It's fine to pray for a whole 2 hours, but prayer is not the 2 hours that you were closing your eyes. It's about the time that you were opening your eyes. not about the time that you were praying. What did you do after prayer?
Hey.
Tired of people who think that coming to church is going to save them. Jesus now is passing through and Jesus is going to the hospital. But it says now, as he went to the hospital of Bazalwana, he came there and there was a man who was there 38 years. In the hospital, 38 years he's there. I can imagine Bazalwana. He was there year in, year out. Other people were coming there, getting healed, and they would leave him. He was still there. 38 years. Hey, do you know we have people who are in the church for 38 years, but they did not get healing? They are there 38 years. Healing has not come to them. They have the history of the church. They can tell you how Western area started. If you ask about the history, they will tell you we even started there and you went to Mfundisi's place and you were worshiping in the garage and you moved there and we come back here. But about your life, you haven't moved an inch of faith. Staying there for 38 years without moving. The man was there for 38 years, Bazalwane. I'm sure those people who knew him, they were calling him Umtana. Because if you get there, they will say, if those young people they fight, they say, let's go and ask Umtala. What's your punishment? Umtala will be there, he say, your punishment is this and this. Umtala. Because he was there for 38 years. He even had an upper hand, Umtala, of saying that Mafudinho Kanapan. Umtala will tell them, this one is small. There is the other one, that 1998. Yeah, 98. 98 land. He had the upper hand of hearing the information of what happened before, but he was not healed. Having information without healing. Umtala was there for 38 years. Abantu bamhlonipha Umtala for 38 years. They come to church for 38 years, but their life has not moved an inch of faith. Their life is not moving. They are just happy that they are in the church for 38 years. Amen, Pastor Lord. Amen. I'm not shouting it. Verse 6. When Jesus saw him lying there, and knew that he already had been in that condition a long time, he said to him, "Do you want to be made well?" The sick man answered him, saying, "I have no man to put me in the pool when the water is stirred up. But while I am coming, another steps down before me." Jesus said to him, "Rise, take up thy bed and walk." And immediately the man was made well, took up his bed and walked. And that day was the Sabbath. The Jews therefore said to him who was cured, "It is the Sabbath. It is not lawful for you to carry your bed." Amen. So verse 7 says, Jesus went there and he asked the man, "Do you want to be made well?" Did you hear the answer of the man? He is being asked by Jesus, the Creator, the healer, the one who sends the angel to stir the waters, "Do you want to be made well?" But his answer was to say, "I have no man to." Say, "I have no man." The problem of many Adventists or many churchgoers, every time when you do something, you are doing it for some men. When you want to get help, you wait for some men. Even when they are praying for someone who is sick, they are praying for some men to help. Even when they are leaving the church, why are you not coming to the church anymore? Some men. Someone did this to me. There is some man who did this to me. That's why I no longer come. Your problems, they are centered around some men. It's just because of some men. Because they say the food that you cook in the Sabbath afternoon does not taste. Logo pega amabhokisi Sabbath awutanga futwanga. Some men. Invela amabhokisi awutanga futwanga men. People will talk. If you ask why are you no longer coming with the Sabbath light, because they say this. Your problem is always some men. Let me tell you, Bazalwane, if you are still listening to what people are saying, you are still far. Because one thing I can ensure you is that these people, they will always talk. They will always talk, Bazalwane. So if you are going to react according to what they are going to say, it's a problem. Here are the people. The man is waiting for a man to push him. Coming to church, for you to come to church, you wait for someone to push you. You wait for someone. If you are alone, it becomes a challenge. If anything is about to happen, you just need someone to push you. But Jesus is asking, do you want to be made whole as one? That's the question. And he even explained. The sick man answered, say, I have no man to put me into the pool. When the water is stirred up before I coming out, another one steps up and Jesus, he left all the passage. Jesus allows you to explain yourself. And you say, at the end of it all, he just says, rise up and take your bed. The whole paragraph, he explains when the angel comes, someone comes and he enters in the water before Jesus says, rise up and take your bed. Amen? Amen. With all your explanation, trying to explain, Jesus, but when I go to church, I go with one suit, not a flag. Jesus said, rise up and take your bed. Amen. Rise up and take your bed. Is it a problem you always come to church with one dress? They will talk most. But I dress like a chorus. Yes, the chorus is something. To leave yes, we so going to chorus. Still yes, we will chorus. You could dress like a chorus, Sabbath in, Sabbath out. They will always talk Barcelona. Hi. Jesus is saying, even after they have spoken about you, rise up, take your bed and walk. Take your bed and walk. Jesus doesn't care about all those explanations that you want to come and say, hey, rise up, Barcelona, take your bed and walk. And 5 minutes left. Verse 8 says, Jesus said to him, rise up, take up your bed and walk. And immediately the man was made well, took up his bed and walked, and that day was the Sabbath day. This one. The Jews therefore said to him who was cured, it is the Sabbath. It is not lawful for you to carry your bed. This one, they will chase me out of the church. Barcelona, the Jews, they saw someone who was cured. And their main concern was, why are you carrying your bed? This man was at the pool for 38 years. Next to where they did their camp meeting year in, year out. The armor and the dockers of these people, they used to go and donate things. Kind of these people, they were suffering. And they used to go and donate things to these people. But as soon as they found out that this man was healed, they had a problem with him carrying the bed. They can't see the healing that's happening. The only thing that they see is the bed that he's carrying. Why are you carrying your bed on the Sabbath? You see, Barcelona, if we are helping people to 2 minutes. People who are much more focused on principle more than the love of God become a problem. People who are much more focused on their principle more than the love for their God, it becomes a problem. They will ask you why you are carrying your bed, instead of noticing the healing that has happened in your life. They will focus on the bed more than the healing. Principle without love. Principle without love, Bazalwan. That's why you see many of the people, they have the principle, but they don't have the love. Even if you see them, they make themselves to look. They make themselves to look. What's the word?
Holy.
Exactly, to look holy. They want to look holy. Even the way they conduct, even the way they greet you, there is a formula in their greeting. Principle without love. Even if you visit them happy, I'm not visiting you. Even if you visit them happy, you visit their place. If you find them that they have already eaten with the law of stewardship. You stay there for 3 hours hungry. With the law of stewardship. They look down upon themselves, some of them also. They are just doing things to. They think being poor is holy. They associate themselves with poverty. They think it's being holy also. Even if when he's at his place, is the firstborn. He doesn't even have peace. He's not even the man that can say, I'm thinking next week, I want to put my cage there. I want to do chickens. And then I will have to do a cutting. No, he doesn't have that mindset. The only thing that he knows is how to go to people's houses. Waiting for them when Mama has a kettle in the kitchen. When the kettle is whistling, he knows that they still next year, Mama waiting for tea. Umtala is an old man. He can't fix his own life. The only thing that he knows is to be very. Even if when she's serving baked beans and amating the fish that she didn't cook, she served them with apology. I'm asking this food now. I'll pay and no pay. You have an apology. I need for Bandisayana. But principle without love. That's why you see, even when you go to the village, his parents or his siblings that are in the village, they are suffering, their children, they don't go to school. His parents, the house where they are living, seems like it wants to fall down. Principle without love. He will tell you, I keep my tithe and offering with the law of stewardship. But his parents are suffering. His brother's children, they don't go to school. But he is busy. They are busy pledging for the church. But your brother's children, they don't go to school. Now, the school maybe it's 200 rand. Principle without love.
Sifa pandong twarelo ite. What is